Hi everybody, it's Margaret here with 60andMe. Hope you're doing well today, and I want to thank you so much for being here. Now 60andMe is a community of women who are over 60, 70, 80, and doing the very best they can to make the most of this incredible time in their lives. It's a time where we are free to recreate and reinvent our lives. But over the last couple of months, there's been a conversation that started with a video that I did a while ago, several years ago, about estrangement, and a topic that most women maybe didn't think was a big issue in anybody else's life except their own. But it turned out that there were so many women in our community who were dealing at some level with estrangement from a family member or an adult child or grandchildren. And it just was a conversation that seemed important. And I want to help. I want to try to put not just the topic out there, but just put some things in front of us that we can maybe do in a tangible way to help. Now, Christine Field is one of our bloggers. She has a blog called Real Life Mom, and she started writing for 60andMe. I'm just check the title here, realmomlife.com, and she started writing for us some years ago about this topic of estrangement. And you can check on our website for the different articles that she wrote. But after the one that we published a few months ago, which was about the issue of estrangement, I wanted to pull back and look at something she wrote about what to do. And one of the things that she talks about is therapy. Now, many of you who are dealing with estrangement at one level or another are probably doing this. You've gone out and found some professional help because it's a topic that is so complex, and it's often triggered by an event or a conversation or an exchange that was so traumatic that really you don't want to talk to friends about it. You want to just talk to someone who can help you get a perspective on it. And so anyway, Christine talks about this as 7 ways that therapy can help parents of estranged adult children. Now, this is very specific to the estrangement with a child, although in some ways, as I was reading through it again, it could apply really to any kind of estrangement with a other family member or even a partner, ex-partner. It's really, really powerful. She says, and I want to just mention this because I think you can relate to Christine if you hear her story. She had many situations in her life with an estranged daughter, I think it was, and she writes about it in her article, so it's not anything confidential. But she dealt with her spouse's cancer, her depression. There were so many other things that were circling around this estrangement with her child, and she said, I couldn't cope. I just couldn't cope anymore. So she went on a retreat. Now, this is not a therapy like one-on-one with a psychiatrist or a psychologist or counselor, but it was a retreat. And she went, and it was a Christian retreat. Not that that has to be the criteria, of course, but she went because that was what she wanted to do. And she spent 3 weeks learning concepts that she thought might help her with this amazing stress and sadness and anxiety that this estrangement was causing. And by the way, I want to say up front, I'm not a psychologist or a doctor or any medical individual. I'm just me, 72-year-old Margaret, who's been through a lot of things herself in her life, and want to share with you how Christine talked about therapy as an outlet for estrangement from an adult child. I'm not here to offer any advice and be telling you what I think you should do or not do. This is your journey, and I'm just trying to help you find some resources. And Christine is one of them. Her website is very good, and she's written a lot of articles on this topic. And also, people have been suggesting books. There's quite a few books on this topic of adult-child estrangement. So, first thing, this is such an important one. This is the one that she mentions first, and I totally get this one. It's that we need boundaries with other people. Not just our children, not just our adult children or anyone. We need boundaries with children. And where you end and where someone else begins, that sense of control over what is yours. I'm responsible for this, you're responsible for that. And I think that is such a powerful statement when you think about children who are pushing those boundaries. Now, children by nature push boundaries, right? Even when they're toddlers and young children, they're always finding the ways to push the buttons, right? To find the ways to get what they want. That's just kind of survival, I guess. But it's really important and this is something that Christine learned in her therapy sessions, was to create those boundaries and understand them and enforce them and assume responsibility for your part of your side of the boundary, and let your child assume responsibility for the other half. And I think once you've established those boundaries and you are forceful about those boundaries, you then you've got something that you can work with. Unclear boundaries don't help either side. She says in her attempt to fix her adult child, she was hurting herself. She was crossing over the boundaries of what was her responsibility, and it was hurting her. So doing what she thought was a good mom thing to do actually turned out to not be the good thing for her. And both the child and her got unhealthier, got sunk deeper into this. So I think that starts, as she talks about, with defining yourself, and that's really the hard thing. The more she said that she tried to change and fix and change herself, in order to accommodate the behavior of her child, that she then became weaker herself. The reality is that you're just a mom. You're just a mom. We're unique women. We've got interests, desires, strengths, weaknesses. We're imperfect for sure. And if we focus totally on being a mom and looking after our adult children in that way as they go through their life journey, we are just cutting ourselves short. Being a mom is challenging. Being a mother, I think there was some research that, a very large number of women would not have children if they realized how complicated it was going to be. I'm just so blessed that I have two sons and a family that, we all have our flaws and our weaknesses and our, the gaps in communication sometimes, but we have a basic respect and love. And my story is a different story to yours, of course, but, so the point here is that if you focus solely on becoming a mom and that's your only role, they don't see anything else. And they just pile onto you all the responsibilities that they associate with what they think your mom, as a mom, should do. So we are, bounded by that definition of mother. And why not just let ourselves be us, define who we are, and then just create a boundary, I'm going to be this person. I'm doing these things. You have the boundaries and your responsibilities are on that side of the line. The other outcomes that she talks about and, finding solutions to her situation with her estranged child was that she had discovered that, as over the years, because of this high stress situation that she was facing herself, she actually had developed really good coping skills for stress. And usually what that meant was that she wasn't getting enough sleep, she wasn't eating the right foods, she wasn't exercising, she wasn't taking care of herself. So that was one of the things she learned in therapy, was that to take care of herself. And I know this sounds so superficial. Of course we take care of ourselves. Of course we want to eat the right foods and whatever. But your bodies will tell you when something is wrong. And that's part of your boundary, is you've got to take care of yourself, and you cannot let the other person, the adult child who's, for whatever reason, adding stress to your life, let that destroy you, your health, your well-being, your sleep. You've got to find solutions. And I think the professional help that she talks about, and why therapy actually is so good, is it helps us to explore this territory more freely and to focus the attention back on yourself. To know that, yes, you've got this situation going on with an adult child, but the therapy gives you a chance to be focused on you. It just gives you a chance to say, I a few times, I feel this way, I want this, I am and feeling these, these stresses, these behaviors are bothering me. Explore, go back to those points that were the turning points. And actually they found that in most of these estrangement situations, there is one blow up. There's one situation, one letter, one encounter that is like the final point. And everybody walks away from it angry or depressed or frustrated or, that's it, we're done. And in some ways, that's where the therapy can help you to rebuild from that point. Because you then, a lot of people spend time after that occasion just worrying about it, thinking about it. What if I'd said this? What if he or she had said that? And, there's so many things that can come of that kind of focus on yourself. And a lot of people have said this. When you look at the comments to the previous videos that I've recorded, a lot of them are saying, you just simply got to do your own things. You've got to find ways to be happy, to be yourself, and to walk away from the boundary that's becomes so diffused and so lacking in clarity that you're just on, you're constantly on the defensive. You're constantly trying to make things better. A lot of links actually are in her article, so go ahead and check that out. She actually talks about, the different therapies that she did. In addition to this retreat, her doctors, of course, gave her medications, which she didn't help her at all. She also tried hypnosis, which was really apparently for Christine extremely powerful and helpful. So I don't know whether any of you have tried hypnosis, but she's actually got a Facebook page, and in her article and in the description to this video is the link to Christine Field's Facebook page. And there are others for estranged children on Facebook, but where you can talk and meet with other people. But I think dwelling on the detail on the stories, like years and years without any therapy and guidance away from that, can be very destructive. So maybe it's time to get some help with a doctor, retreat group, with a community group, somewhere where you can talk it through and find yourself. This is what's most important. The child has got their karma, their life. They're going to live the way that they have to. Take a leap, she says. If you're drowning in pain, I'm looking at my notes here. If you're drowning in pain over your child's estrangement, it's time to try something new. If you're led to therapy, find someone you connect with. Enter fully into the process. Don't hide, minimize, rationalize, or deny. This pain sucks. This is quote from Christine. If you don't take it out, look at it, and examine it, it will destroy you. I know this is so hard. Even reading these words and trying to communicate them to you, I can just imagine people sitting here watching this, just tied up in a situation. And you're going to always love your child. Letting the estrangement from them ruin your life doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve their problem, and it doesn't solve yours. The most important step that Christine says you can take is for yourself. Be bold. Be courageous. Make a better life for yourself on this path. Check out Christine's website. As I mentioned, it's realmomlife.com. She has a website and also this Facebook group. Christine's not the only person dealing with this situation. She's one that's written for 60andMe, along with Iris Pastor and a few others who I've already shared articles by. But go ahead and check out Christine's work. And do you know anybody who's dealing with child estrangement? Are you? Are you okay? I hope so. I hope that 60andMe is here to help a little bit. We're not here to just focus on these topics. This is just one that I know is of interest to a lot of you. And every now and again, I'm going to do an article that brings it to the top of our minds. It gives us a chance to share together. I think it's super important that number one, you're not alone. Number two, as Christine says, the only thing that you can really manage right now is yourself. And the third is to know that you're loved, that we love you, that we care for you. And all your sisters here on 60andMe are here to stand by your side. You can join our Patreon group if you're interested. We have a quieter, smaller group there. It's patreon.com/60andMe. But this is a great place to come to and just chat. Be careful when you're leaving comments. Please be thoughtful about your name and the details that you might be sharing. I've had to remove some comments in the past because they're very specific and mention names, and I don't want there to be any repercussions from the comments that are left here. So just be thoughtful of that when you're leaving your comments, especially if your name is appearing in your comments as your Facebook name and not an avatar name. But let's just be gentle with each other. Leave comments for one another. Give some hugs. Okay, everybody, have a really fabulous day. Take good care of yourself. Stay strong, bold and courageous. It's going to be okay. It's going to get better. Take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye for now.